Okay, we are live. Excuse me for making the adjustments on the camera. I'm trying to make sure that we get this message today through the best lens that we possibly can. Hope everybody's doing well. It's 10/24/24, and we are back for another house calls with yours truly, Dr. Rory T. Edwards. And today's topic is kind of powerful from one perspective, is because one of the things that I've actually done over the last 2 decades is I really pay attention to people's words. I pay attention to how you are saying the words. I'm looking at your body language. I'm looking at a lot of things. I'm looking at your facial expressions, and I'm looking for the sincerity in the message, or am I looking for the sarcasm in the message? But what I do is it gives me an opportunity to either continue to deal with you or let you live in the capacity for which you want to thrive. And for me, if my saying is that if I walk into the room, either you become me or I become you. And so if the energy is not of positivity, I just leave the room. Because at this stage and phase of my game, the game of life, I would say I'd rather be alone than be in a room of toxic energy, because I know exactly who I am. And that's why we're talking about going back. Because for me, going back was a very, very important journey. It was a very important journey. And why do I say that? It's because I always hear people talking about I'm never going back to that place, or in a relationship, I'm never going back to him, or I'm never going back to her, or I'm never going back to that place because of what it did to me at that particular time. And so I want to talk about two situations that I think are very important. And the first one is that many of you know, based on Facebook, that on the 12th of this month, I went back home. I went back home and I did my book release. The book right here, The Man That's Missing in Me. And I'm going to share with you a story that I think you all still need. If you don't have this book, I still believe that you need to go and get this book. Not because I'm a personal friend of the authors, but it's because of the information, the content, the narrative that's in this book will definitely give you an opportunity to go back, to see where you might have missed something, or where you might have fell short in your quest to actually have the most valuable and viable life that you can possibly have. And so what did I do? I'm putting on this universal book tour. But I said in a conversation with my sister, where should I start this book tour? She said, why not here? I said, wow, you're right. So let's see if we can galvanize some people. Let's see if we can get the energy going, based on the fact that I haven't been home in a little while. But there was some relationships that I still had, and I was able, with the help of her, to galvanize 16 individuals on a panel. From 14 years old, 13, my grandson, to a 70-year-old individual, and all of the generations in between. We had an amazing panel of gentlemen who had not read the book, but were concerned about the outcomes of the community. They were concerned about the role of the man, which is the man that's playing in the role that the man's playing in his community, the role that the man is being looked upon in his household. What is the man doing? How is he being received in the environments for which he is talking about? So I had to come up with something to say about the word going back. So this is what I came up with. I said, too often we equate going back with revealing our worst moments. We think about the pain, the struggles, and the obstacles we've overcome, and we fear that revisiting them might drag us back into some negative energy. But here's the truth. Going back isn't always about backward steps. It's an opportunity. It's about revisiting those moments, not to get stuck, but how to pull out the valuable lessons we missed in the heat of the struggle. That's what going back is for me. Going back isn't about you going back to a situation that still exists. Because if you left a situation 10, 15, 20 years ago, no matter if you go back to the exact spot it happened, the situation is not the same. You have grown. If the person is still in that environment, they should have grown. If the situation is the same, then that means life has stopped. Life continues. Time continues. All of us evolve. All situations evolve. So nothing stays stagnant in the world. Nothing. And so going back means that sometimes when you go back because you enjoyed being a part of that drama. And you go back, and instead of picking the strawberries, you pick the weeds. You go back to a situation because you believe that you're still going to confront that situation, and you are going to make yourself be heard in that situation. Well, the strong thing that you did was leave that situation. So you were heard when you left that situation. But when we talk about relationships, sometimes it's the situation that the person that you're involved with is going through. The person that you're involved with that's going through the situation may have some other variables that are affecting the way that you and that person are interacting, right? The person may have substance abuse. The person may be going through some personal things that he or she is not able to shake, and that you just happen to be in that space that they had to get rid of that toxic energy. And then what happens is you become a part of it. Why am I saying that? I want to share another story. Some of you may know that in my therapy business, I do work with a lot of individuals. I work with a lot of people, and I concentrate primarily on the toxic, vicarious trauma. Why? Because so many of us are walking around every day with vicarious, toxic trauma that we've never, ever addressed. We believe that we can camouflage it, we can subdue it, we can put it away where nobody will ever know that it existed. But you know it existed. And you get involved with people in different facets. You get involved with people just in the midst of going to a concert. You get involved with people in a relationship. You get involved with people at your job. You get involved with people at your church. You get involved with people on social media. And what happens is some people don't know you, and they trigger those emotions. And when those emotions come up, then you respond the same way that you may have responded when that trauma was first infused on you. So let me share a story with you. I have two clients, a former husband and wife. I'm not going to reveal their name at all, but they were high school sweethearts. And she explained to me that her baby's father was the star athlete. All the other girls had him, but he was a little abusive to them. But she knew that if she got with him, she could change him. Sounds familiar, don't it? Sounds familiar. And she could change him. And so they got together. They had a child. They then shortly, right out of high school, got married. She says right after the child was born, he became very abusive, physically, verbally. And so I asked her what happened after that. She says, I knew that his aspirations of playing professional football were not fulfilled. And so this brought on a lot of stress and anxiety in his life. And I realized that I wasn't really the source of that anxiety and stress, but that he felt that his football dreams were no longer a part of his journey, and that he was just lashing out at me. I said, so did the violence verbal and physical violence continue? And she says, yeah, a little bit, but not as much. I said, well, what's a little bit? Well, probably like once a week. So once a week you were taking abuse from this individual. Was alcohol involved? She says to a degree. Was drugs involved? To a degree. Were other women involved? To a degree. But you stood there and you took this. So I want you to understand now what I'm saying to people is you have to realize that when we're talking about the trauma, the vicarious trauma, you also have to realize what part did you play. I want you to think right now, I'm not at all advocating for physical violence or verbal physical abuse. But what I am saying is that everybody, in every situation, is two people. You play a part, you live a part. You live a part, you play a part. Okay, so let's continue. So I asked her, well, what happened? Did you leave him? She said, no. She said, I wanted to support him to help him get through this. And so what I did is we had another child. So you had a second child by this individual? She said, yes. I said, great. So they're going through this. Long story short, let's just go back to let's just complete the story instead of me going through the whole story. The thing is that she ended up having 4 children by this man. 4 children. I asked her why, if you knew that the abuse, the physical and verbal abuse was too much for you to take, and it was doing something to your self-confidence, why did you stay for 4 children? I felt sorry for him. I said, you felt sorry for yourself because you were so torn, beat down, that you felt that you could not do can do better than him. And you put out 4 children for him, but there's not a positive thing that's come out your mouth about him. You have 4 children from him. Those 4 children carry his DNA no matter how you feel about him. So every time those 4 children hear you talk negative about their father, later on in life when they're able to process a little bit better, they're going to realize that you also were talking about them. At least 50% of them. And then let me ask you the other thing. How long have you been separated from him? She says at least 17 years. 17 years and you still carry his name. So for liberation, for emancipation, what do you want? I want my own identity. She says, I did it for the children. No, you didn't. Stop. You can't say that. Does this sound familiar to somebody out there? You use the children as a crutch for you to believe that you're still that victim. That you're still that victim. You have to go back to find out where you made the mistake in staying and having that many children by somebody you despise, by somebody that you have no positive thoughts or words about it in any capacity or any conversation. And you say that you were forced there. When she said she was forced there, I said, well, would you like to call the authorities right now? Oh, no, I would never do that to my children's father. But you're sitting up here saying that you were forced into this relationship and you took the abuse from him for 4 children. For 4 children. That's what we're talking about. You have to go back. You have to go back to where you stumbled. They say when you trip, you don't look at where you fall. You look at where you tripped up, where you stumbled, where you tripped. Right? It's not where you fall. It's what caused you to trip. And that means going back. Why did I go back to New Britain, Connecticut to launch this book? New Britain, Connecticut is what created me. I've been to places that most people dream about. But you know when I went through those places? In probably my most adverse time in my life, where I was going back to find out where I tripped, to where I could put the information in this book that would answer the question, the man that's missing in me. My work brings me and connects me with a lot of young brothers of all races, ethnicities. And the one thing is that I have to realize is that when I talk to them, I'm talking to them about being a man. And the only way I had to find out about being a man is I had to go back. I had to go back. And I had to find out what is it that I'm missing? What is it? Where did I lose that information? Where did I lose that zest for being a man? What was it about me? What was I doing? I was trying to posture. I'm pontificating. I looked the part. I dressed the part. But am I living the part? That's what we're asking you about today, about going back. Going back isn't about you visiting something and saying, I would never go back to that individual. Well, you don't know who that individual is now if you don't go back. You don't have to go back to the place that you and that person met. You don't have to go back to where that trauma took place. But you have to go back and ask yourself, did I let it go? Did I release it? Did I forgive them? Because if you don't forgive them, you're holding that inside of you and it's preventing you from receiving your blessings. That's what you got to realize. Psychologically, we are very, very fragile people. We are fragile human beings. We hold on to things and we think we can move past them and that nobody's going to recognize. Yes, because your glow, your aura will show that you were damaged. So there's a few things I want you to do before I end today. I want you to look at, and these are the things that I want you to do when you talk about going back. Going back. There's nothing wrong at all with going back, because going back gives you an opportunity to reflect on who was I at that time. Have I changed since that time? Am I still in relationships and am I still having the same concerns and issues? Was it that person? Could it be me? Could it be me? What am I talking about? The man that's missing in me. I ask other people, look at the woman that's missing in you. Look at whatever you choose to, but look in the mirror and ask yourself, what part did I play? And again, I'm not advocating for what somebody did to somebody physically or verbally. God gave us free choice. And you can't use children. You can't use, I didn't have anything. You can't use, I didn't to say, I shouldn't have, I should have. That's what you need to do. What does going back mean? I'm going to give you 4 things that I think that going back can change for you to move forward. One of them is to reflect and relive. When visiting a difficult situation, focus on the lessons, not the pain. Because in every lesson, there's a blessing. I want you to understand that. Now, that's the first thing. The second one is I want you to identify the breakdown moments. What I talk about. They say when you fall, don't look at where you fell, look at where you tripped. Identify when this began to happen. Identify the person that you said you loved and you later left. Identify the day he began or she began drinking. Identify the day he or she began taking drugs. Identify the day that they became abusive physically and verbally. And what was your reaction? What did you do? Did you follow the suit that everybody else says, I think I can change them? But it didn't happen. Go back and identify the breakthrough moments. The day that you chose to leave that situation. The day you went back to reflect on who you wanted to be and who you should be and who you are and who you've grown into. The third thing is I want you to leverage your growth. Look at your growth. Look at your growth. Don't walk around and self-sabotage yourself. Look at your growth. Look at how you've grown since that situation. Look at the road ahead of you. Get out in the sunshine and just be grateful that you're still here to tell that story if it was that bad. If it was that bad and you're here to tell that story, tell that story. Leverage your growth. And the last one, reframe the narrative. You know, narrative is my favorite word. Y'all heard me say that. Narrative is my favorite word. Reframe the narrative. Allow yourself to tell your story and not let somebody else tell your story. Or not let somebody else control your story because they at a point in their life, in your life, they controlled you. You control the narrative. Reframe the narrative. Right? Reframe the narrative. So I want to end with this. So the next time life pushes you to revisit your past, don't shy away. Step into it boldly by going back, not to stay, but to gather the strength that you've earned and you've learned from. You can powerfully propel yourself forward if you believe in the strength of your credibility and validity. So, when people say I would never go back, I say I beg to differ. Please go back. Please go back and find, for men out there, find the man that's missing in me. And once you find the man that's missing in you, you're going to change the world. I guarantee you. This is guaranteed. And for women, same thing. Go back and find where you may have experienced something that is still harboring in you that you don't know how to get rid of. I want you to know the universe is a vast place of receiving anything that you want to send back to it. It knows how to deflect it and diffuse it. Please look, if you need to speak to somebody, we at the Rory T. Edwards Group have the skills to help you. Please visit us at www.rorytedwards.com. You can book a consultation. You can give us a call. You can send us an email at rorytedwards1@gmail.com. Or you can send a message right here in House Calls, or inbox me personally, and I will get back to you, and I will put you in touch with one of the best persons to help serve your purpose. But I said, when you go back to pick the strawberries, go back to pick the flowers, leave the weeds alone, because you can't replace the pain if you have in your mind that you haven't gained any foundational principles or any foundation of growth. That's my message today. I hope you find it valuable. I hope that you will share this with somebody, because we all know there's somebody in our life that needs to hear this message. Share it with them today. Share it with them. Please let them know about House Calls. We do them every Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time. But we're here to provide information to help you to address your psychological and your vicarious toxic trauma that will help you release the things that are holding you back from being the best person you can possibly be. Please believe it. I am not talking from science. I'm talking from experience. You feel me today? All right. So until the next time we talk, hey, I want you to know, if you have any questions, get at the good doctor. So until we talk again, you all be blessed. Address going back. All righty. Be well. Ashe. Bless up.